Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Brush, a podcast all about the World Star Nail Artist Competition. Hey nail friends, it's your host Winnie at Winnie is Awesome. And today we're addressing the burning question of where and how to find support when you're competing in a nail art competition like this. Joining me today is Senior Manager of Education Content at C&D, Beth Livesay, and Competition Extraordinaire, Giselle Caballero. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about support, you guys, because that's really important in this day and age, especially with this competition. What kind of support are we offering our contestants? Beth, would you like to touch on that?
Oh boy. Yes. So I think there's a couple of ideas in the air, like maybe a Facebook group or something. But I think regardless of what kind of group support and official support is put out there, I think, there's a couple pointers the three of us would like to touch on, right? Asking questions through the email that gives the challenge. I think that's very natural. I think that's very common. I think we see that in a lot of competitions. I know sometimes when I'm judging, right, I have questions, and like in Nail Olympia, they have a really nice guidebook that you look to, and they have some pointers in there. But I think at a certain point, you need to stop asking questions and you need to just go to work. I think that people overthink. We've talked about this before. And when you overthink, you're really taking time away from what needs to be done, and you need to start on something. Rules are there as guidelines. They are judged upon, but if we don't say something specific, then you can do it. So if the challenge says do not use embellishments, then you can't use a crystal, you can't use a bead, but if that's not said, go for it, go for it. I think the longer you let yourself spiral over can I use embellishments or not, what does it say, let me read it 5 more times, the answer will come to me, the answer will never come to you. So yes, it's okay to ask some things, but I think at the end of the day, you have to be confident in yourself. You have to go forward. I think anything outside of emailing that WSNA email address, I think is a little much, unless there's an official Facebook group, right? I think it's weird to DM judges. I think it would be weird to DM the editor of Scratch, to DM Jan Arnold and ask them questions. That's not what our DMs are really for, right? So I don't know. And I guess what I was curious about hearing from you, Winnie and Giselle, is I know when you've competed, you had friends in the competition and you had friends like outside of the competition who you kind of went to. So maybe like, I don't know, is that a better support system, or like who do you go to when you're competing and to ask if it's not the people running the competition?
For me, I had 2 different kinds of support. So there are people that are in the industry who understand the pain and suffering that's happening currently. And then there are also people that are outside of the nail industry who are just there for you, like friends and family. They're great when you need a form of escape, when you just need someone to rub your back or tell you things are going to be okay, or throw dishes onto the ground with. Like they're great for that kind of stuff. I know in the past a lot of competitors would find another competitor in the competition and commiserate with them on the current happenings of the competition. Those relationships are built on trust, and I think it's great to have someone you could grow close with and develop like a really good relationship. So you just have to remember, this is your competition. You're in it for yourself. Oftentimes we ask questions for specification on certain guidelines is because we want to do something, but we're not sure if we can do something. So you keep asking a question, but then at the end you have to ask yourself the question, am I continuing asking this question over and over again to different people because I'm not hearing what I want to hear?
Oh,
Yes.
No,
So end of the day, you have to evaluate yourself and again your strategy, your game plan.
love
Goodbye.
it. Perfect.
I'm actually happy that we're going over this because when I've competed, I didn't even think that was an option to reach out. Because if you reach out to the people that are going to be judging you, I feel like then it becomes biased, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
I think as a judge, you really can't be advising
Right.
someone that's part of the competition that you're judging.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, this brings me back to Nailintia. When people are working, the judges are not even allowed on the floor. Like, you cannot even come to see it. So I cannot imagine, like, if they stood up and they came to ask us back there. So is this, like, do you think this is working? That doesn't happen. You can't
Yeah.
do that. It's not only that it's not professional, but the competition is meant for you to come up with the idea and
right.
problem solve
Right.
and innovate and all this stuff. So you asking questions to the people that are going to be the ones judging, organizing, and setting it all up is not, I don't think it's not that it's not appropriate, but that's not the whole point, right?
Right.
Like we're it's not a training boot camp, or unfortunately that's not, it's not the setup, right? So you have to just be insightful and have that conversation with you. Is this worth really reaching out? Because again, think about it. Every time you reach out, it may tamper with the situation of the judge or whoever you're reaching out, right? Because they're gonna be like, oh, does she even know what she's doing, or is she like what is going on in there? You know, you don't want to tamper with that because you want them to stay neutral to you the whole time. So if you're reaching out, make sure that you are reaching about something that is worth putting you on the spot for, right? So overreaching, it's almost trying to take advantage of the time away from the rest of the competitors too, right? So let's keep it fair. And again, this is about problem solving, about you coming up with the solution, right? If I have to tell you exactly what you need to be doing, I might as well do it myself. Right? That's, I feel like, and I say that to my students all the time, like, come on, like, you have to get it going and spark, you know, the imagination or the problem solving. We can't do that for you guys. So I think that's a huge one, to just try and problem solve on your own.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think too, since this is a global nail competition, like in the past, we've got a lot of questions from people who maybe the rules are given in English. So if like English isn't your first language, that's okay. If you're like, I just want to make sure like I understand this. Sure. Yeah. And if you have a friend, we always say this, if you have a friend, if you have a loved one who can translate, have them translate for you. Like that's not breaking any rules. That's making sure you understand. If you want them to make sure your script is good for your video, make sure that's all fine. Or use subtitles. Like I think questions for clarification because of an honest issue like that is completely okay. But like you're saying, Giselle, like you don't want to just like waste those opportunities to do them.
No. Once you ask something and you present yourself, maybe, you know, like unsure of yourself, it's hard to take that image away from whoever you're reaching out to, right? So, and we're humans. So, you know, if I get somebody asking me all the time, I probably start wondering, is this the right thing for this person?
Right.
And you don't want that. I mean, it's almost like fake it till you make it if you have to.
Totally.
Right?
Oh yeah.
It is.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Life motto.
You gotta do what you gotta do, and don't put yourself in the spot or that would make you not look like you wanna present yourself. And that goes back to what we were saying, you know, like be the person that you would want to look up to. So you know, it just doesn't fit in that definition.
And I don't know if you guys had it happen to you where some contestant would reach out and be like, well, can I use embellishment from blah, blah, blah. And then you look at their final piece and you're like, well, why why didn't you use the embellishment?
Yes, that's a great point too. Yeah.
And then you're like, then why did you ask the question if you're not going to use it?
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So don't ask questions for the sake of asking questions.
Hallelujah.
More clarification doesn't necessarily mean more beneficial.
No.
More help.
It feels like
Yeah.
it feels like if you ask all these things that you're gonna have an advantage, but I don't think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
I almost think it's detrimental to you, because
Yeah,
you're putting all these things in your head.
Yeah.
And now you're like, well, maybe she wants to see this, or maybe they want to see that, or I should do this, and like you start spiraling. So
there's no hidden messages. There's no codes embedded in the prompt saying what we really want to see.
That's right.
There's none of that. We don't know. I never know what I want to see until I see it.
That's right.
So yeah, I don't know what you can do.
That's
you
right.
You have to show me, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that is what I wanted to see after all. So
and every judge is different, right?
Exactly.
So every judge has a total different idea of what they like and what works, right? So if you're basing your entire piece on one judge's opinion or one person's opinion, then you're kind of, it's to your detriment, right? Like you're not really gonna get the best of it.
That's nice.
Glad we cleared that up.
And And that's it for us today. Got anything you'd like to add to this topic? Leave us a comment or reach out to me at Winnie is Awesome on Instagram. And don't forget to follow our journey on WSNA at scratchmagazine.co.uk/WSNA. See you next time.